everybody. Know thy customer. Taking AI beyond table stakes. I cannot be more stoked, pumped to be here with Michael Ludwig.
Hey, Sean.
Michael, hey, I am stoked to be with you here today. Thank you so much for joining me, joining everyone here. We want to get right started and jump right into what we have. But before that, I cannot help but notice this really incredible billboard. Maybe you are a flipping legend, Michael. Michael, you are
Apparently.
apparently as Times Square, as New York City, as folks recognize you're a flipping legend. Michael, let's start there. We're going to go into the heart of knowing thy customer, going way beyond table stakes with AI. Cannot think of somebody more experienced, a thought leader, a contributor to the community, and somebody who feels so passionate about this. So I can't wait to dive in. Before that, why don't you just give everybody a glimpse? Michael, the man, the myth, the legend. Who is Michael? Who is Michael? Give us a bit of that.
Well, I don't even know where I begin. Um, I'm very passionate about my background. I come from various different verticals. I started in automotive, then moved to technology, then moved to the direct to consumer or subscription modeling. And then now to cookware. And there might be something new up my sleeve relatively soon. But my first job ever was at a Ace Hardware store, and that was my first job, still in high school. And I remember, like, still to this day, like it was all about at Ace Hardware taking care of the customer. You know, we knew that there were customers that had other options, right? They can go to Home Depot, they can go to Lowe's, but the reason why they chose to go to their local Ace Hardware was because of the service that they would receive, and they'd be in and out and have a clear understanding of what needs to be done.
That's awesome. I love how it is a story that moves you. It is the start. How did Hardware set the stage for some of your later adventures, or was it formative in that regard?
I think I think Ace really set the foundation for it. But every job thereafter kind of built on this notion of taking care of the customer. There's this thought that the customer is always right. I'm not a believer in that.
Hmm,
Um, I believe in just doing the right thing for our customers. Sometimes doing the right thing is doing the right thing for the business and helping the customer understand the decision that was made. I think that there are a lot of times where we don't do the best job in educating the customer why we made the decision that we did. And if that education was there, we'd have a lot easier communication between a brand and a customer.
that's fascinating. Educating them on the decision that was made. We're definitely going to go this.
Yeah.
It's going to be rich today. We're going to dive into educating them. I hear you on the customer is not always right. I was raised with that notion that the customer is queen, is king, but sounds like there's a little bit more flavor and color and nuance to that. We'll jump there. But then some quick questions since you are a flipping legend up front, just curiosity bursting at the seams here. How did you flip? You're famous for saying the best partnerships are like marriages. Want to hear that story and let everybody, just get into your experience there as well. How did you flip?
Yeah, I think when you, at least for me, when I vet different vendors, I don't necessarily just look for what the vendor can bring to our brand here and now. I look at, whether or not they're capable of coming along with me on my journey to build a world-class customer experience center. You know, I believe in my core that we all have the same desire and the same desire to take care of the customer, right? And it's our job as thought leaders to really think of new ways of delivering on that, right? And we can't wait on our vendors to do that. Our vendors have a really good pulse of what, their clients are looking for,
Mm,
but what other clients might be looking for might not be right for my brand. More than likely it will be, but I want to be able to have this reciprocal relationship, I think is a great way of putting it, that um, benefits both me on the brand side and, my vendor by being able to build out a new product and offer it to their other clients.
yeah, I love that. I hear a couple of things. Taking care of customers, clearly a common thread that goes through everything.
Absolutely.
New ways to deliver. I like that. So what I am hearing is you are pushing. There's a good healthy tension. The partner, vendor partner, Flip in this case, obviously shout out to all flipping legends, right? We have worked with, has some ideas, has a technology roadmap, but you are actually shaping it. You are co-creating, you are co-developing, you are pushing them. Say a little bit more about that because sometimes I think there's that misconception. Hey, it is what it is. You take it,
Yeah.
you apply it, and then you move on, and then you are really in the curation process. You seem to be more in the creating process and in the pushing the frontier of what is possible. Say a little bit about that, how that is
Yeah,
different, how
there
that is exciting for you. Yeah.
yeah, there was this I learned this at Lexus. Many times our customers didn't necessarily agree with the way that a function was happening in their vehicle, right? And they come to us, tell us their concern. And at the end of the day, like I kind of coined this term that, unfortunately the vehicle's operating as designed, not as desired. And I use this when I work with my vendors, right? A lot of times, technology is operating the way that it was designed to, right? But a lot of times our designers are not our users, right? They think they know what's best and will try and deliver on what they think they know is best. But in real world scenarios, it might not always execute in the best way, right? And so I'll often go to my vendors and be like, "Oh yeah, I think if I understand you correctly, it's operating as designed, not as desired. Here's the desired end state. How can we meet this desired end state?" Right? With the common goal of taking care of the customer. A prime example of this is I worked with the Flip team, and I'd take these escalated calls, and I'd call back the customer, and the customer, because of all the spam that's out there, would be hesitant of picking up a call that they don't recognize, right? And I'd leave a voicemail to the customer and tell the customer to call us back. The downfall to that is that technology is designed the way that it's designed. Flip is designed to assist the customer. 90% of the time, it gets it right. Assist the customer when they call in the first time. It was not designed to handle customer callbacks necessarily, right? So we worked with the Flip team and said, okay, when a customer calls back and specifically asks for this person, and in this case, it was me, like if they say that they're calling because they're calling to speak with Michael, we created together what we refer to as a custom intent. And that intent was recognized and then transferred to an individual queue, a specialized queue that only I had access to. Right. So that way it can get the agent or the customer back to that specific agent that left them a voicemail. This this reduces the frustration level of our customer because now they have a way to get directly back to me. I have a way of protecting my direct number, and I can provide the customer back with the general toll-free number to get a hold of Hexclad. So this was a situation or a scenario in which initially Flip was operating as designed, just not as desired, right? there was a tweak that needed to be made in order to improve that customer experience.
I love that story, Michael. A couple of things jump out at me. One, what I wrote was you are validating, you are putting it front and center, the customer's needs, and then you are bridging it, right? You are bridging it in a way that obviously over time there could be customer interviews that, but you're literally just surfacing and prioritizing it. So it becomes immediately clear, designed for X, but desired as Y. And now
Exactly.
let us just move straight to the Y. Let's just accelerate that innovation so it meets that need square front and center, right? Squarely. I
Yeah, when I started at Lexus, in the mission statement of Lexus, which everyone had to memorize, at the end of it, part of the mission statement is to treat each customer like they were a guest in our own home, right? And that's always stuck with me no matter where I went. And so if you think about that and have that philosophy at the front of your mind and think about how can we design these experiences where we're treating a customer like they were a guest in our own home. If you call your friend and say, hey, I'm calling you back, give me a call back whenever you get this message, you don't want them to go directly to a voicemail, right? When they call back, you told them to give them a call. Like it's just going to frustrate them. So let's figure out a way that we can fix that experience.
I love that. I love you saying guest in your own home. I do sense that, I know you mentioned about your Ace Hardware days, and we'll love to peel aside what made you the pioneer you are. I also do hear some overtones of hospitality in what you mentioned, whereby people should feel comfortable they're coming. Yes, we want to give them what they want, but the way we go about it, and I'm starting to see how fulfilling the brand's mission is making sure the AI is working as desired, not purely as design. Here's not all the flows that we're doing, or in our case, there are no flows when you flip, but here's the way the whole thing is set up, and then we leave it there. That is table stakes in that regard, as we say table stakes, but you're taking it beyond to say, my AI must help our brand fulfill that mission of being hospitable, of helping the customer feel at home as if they were in their own home. Creating a custom intent just personalizes it and bridges it that much closer. That's super motivating.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that AI is not here to take agents, like replace agents. Um, I'm a firm believer that AI is here to make agents' life easier, right? They're no longer having to focus on like the minutia, the back and forth, the little dance that every customer service agent has to do before getting into solving a customer's issue. So getting that information, if the customer doesn't provide it initially, like I think AI is there to assist with that. I think AI will get better and better over time and will be more and more empathetic to our customers' needs. But I do believe that there is still a place for the agent to handle the more tricky situations, the more delicate situations, the complicated situations. But AI will be there to assist them with a suggested response before sending it, or a summarization, so that they don't have to read all the back and forth, a translation, bringing to light any milestones that a customer might have shared with us in the past to make the agent um, seem like they know this customer like their best friend. Um, but I do think that there's still a lot of work to be done in the AI space um, to accomplish all of the things that a human does to make a best-in-class customer service approach.
So how does AI get, and feel free, since we've been talking about Flip and Voice AI, if you want to share, because you have unique insights, right,
Yeah.
into that medium and channel. How does Voice AI get 10 times better in Michael's ideal or 10 times better is, looks like, sounds like.
Sure. So if we want to take a look at what AI voice is doing today,
Yeah.
in my opinion, AI voice is doing the beginning of the call really well, right? It's identifying what a customer needs before them even having to ask because it has a whole bunch of different signals coming in from Shopify, from the help desk, from a warehouse management system. It has all these signals and it can kind of predict at what point the customer is calling what type of assistance that they'll need. I think where we'll start to see AI get better and better at is the middle and the ending, right? Right now, there's kind of a drop off where AI voice will take care of the customer situation and then hand it off to an agent. But I think there's still an opportunity because the technology is available to maybe summarize a call, right? When a caller finishes, just like your normal customer service agent would do, right? So, hey, Mr. Customer, I understand that you're calling about this warranty concern. I've gone ahead and collected your voicemail. I'm going to get it over to a specialist. Um, Here's what I heard. We'll be sure to have a specialist follow up with you within 2 to 3 days or whatever your SLA is. But adding that little bit of human touch of saying, like, here's what I heard, right? To ensure that, that the customer knows that I'm working hand in hand with this technology and this isn't just a flow that I'm going through. It's
Yeah.
clear that the brand that I'm interacting with um, is uh, understanding my concern, right? Additionally, that's just one scenario. Like, how about understanding that a customer recently had an abandoned cart, right? And giving a customer caller calls in with a caller ID, and we see an abandoned cart associated with that caller ID. Be presumptive and just say, hey, are you calling about the XYZ that you were just looking at on our site? Do you have additional questions that I can answer for you? Great. Um, if they can't answer that question, if the AI can't answer it, say, let me get you over to one of our product specialists. It's just about, figuring out where those friction points are currently and how do we smooth those out? What are all the things that your agent would have done that we can train technology to do?
I love the mirror of how you set it up, Michael, where there's validation, there's empathy, and you said something that really stuck with me, the additional human touch. Interesting. The additional human touch. So really, one, the lines are being blurred. When we perhaps what we encapsulate by the human touch is really that personalization that you are talking about, that personalization. And so to all those out there who say, hey, it's either efficiency or empathy. You cannot have those returns and really be building brand love and really engaging. What do you say? It sounds like you are firmly of the belief that it can go together, that experience can be quite merged, can be a little more blurred, can support the teams, but in doing so, allow the customer a more smooth experience as they are in your own home. Sounds like you don't think there's that false choice to be made between either brand or returns.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think initially a lot of people think going into AI means replacing our agents. And I've already made it clear that I don't think that that's the case. And so being able to showcase the return on that investment by saying, like, here's how it's going to make your agents more efficient. Here's
Yeah.
how it's going to help lower costs because our agents aren't spending as much time on a ticket as they were before. Here's the cost savings of having a 24-hour agent, right? A lot of people don't think about this, and I was in that ballpark all the way up for a week ago. Like, I didn't even think about, if I hired an agent to be available during out or outside business hours right now, it's going to cost me at least time and a half because you're in these hours of operation that our BPOs or our partners would charge as like after hour hours, right? Which costs more than just a regular hourly agent. But you have this AI agent that's going to be able to run 24/7 that you're not paying time and a half or double time for an
Yeah.
agent to be available at that period. Right. So there's many different ways of measuring ROI. Some are clear, some, are assumptions that are going to be made based off of what you've seen previously. But I don't think that there is like it should ever be viewed as it's either an efficiency gain or a cost gain. Like I don't think you sacrifice either one of those things, especially during like rollouts, like um, how you roll out your AI agent is also important, right? Be
Yeah.
cautious. Start with internal notes first,
Right.
potentially, then
Yeah.
start rolling out to public facing responses.
Mhm.
Try things out first to understand if what you're putting out is accomplishing what you hypothesized would happen.
Yeah, that is a great point, Michael. I want to shift to some of the brass tacks here because there are obviously CX leaders, folks excited to get into CX or who are starting their career and thinking this is a master class. What surprised you? You've already have the experience. We know the Ace Hardware early days. You've been at Lexus, beauty as well, and cosmetics, time that you spend, and then obviously now the leader, right? We're at Hexclad. What surprised you about AI? Were you just always meant to be the pioneer? Like, what surprised you
Um,
looking back?
I think it, I don't know if anything necessarily surprised me.
Mm,
I've definitely been burnt by different technologies claiming that they had AI,
mm,
where they did not, and it was just a glorified flow builder,
mm.
right? An automation tool. Um, but I think what surprises me in the AI space is the companies that are doing AI really well are thinking about those nuances to make their AI more and more human-like. I've worked with some AI companies that are adopting memory features, right? And classifying different types of memories. Um, and being able to store those so that that AI agent or that AI tool can always reference those in the past. So if I say, hey, I'm ordering X product for my birthday on Saturday.
Yeah,
Will it arrive here on time if I order it today? Like, not only is it giving that answer, but it's also storing in the memory that it's that user's birthday on X date. And so down the road, a year from now, when the customer writes back in, this AI is going to surprise this customer and say, hey, happy early birthday, even though that customer may not even mention anything about their birthday coming up.
right.
Um, or we might program a follow-up 3 days after the birthday happened and just say, hey, we hope that your birthday went well. We wanted to just check in with you. We saw that your package arrived. We just wanted to check in to see how everything went. Is there anything that we can assist you with? Right? It's taking that experience to the next level, showing the customer that you haven't forgotten about them. Really, once again, treating a customer like they were a guest in your own home.
I love that. I love that. I've seen that meme. I don't know if you've seen it floating around a couple of days where somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm calling to speak to your AI." And
I haven't.
I think there is some sentiment there that says, "I know your AI. I have come to be familiar and accept the experience and actually do enjoy something about that dynamic.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I think we haven't talked so much about the human side of it, but we have implicitly and through our actions embraced it ourselves. You are a bridge clearly for the customer. You have spearheaded, right, the use of such technologies. And maybe this is the advice part for all those listening, Michael. Why are you the leading, the tip of the spear, that top 1% of leaders? What made you be at the forefront, adopting, putting it out there, seeing the results? If there are others listening and thinking, is there something I can do? Is it just inherently Michael, or are there some lessons I can take away from that? If I wanted to be out there, I wanted to pioneer, shape, co-create, are there any words of wisdom there?
Yeah. I think I think first and foremost, no one's ever told me what I should be doing. No one's ever told me what I should do to build a world-class customer experience center. And I think this is important for anyone out there that's just getting started in there and with AI in their space. But think about the experience that you want to deliver, not about the experience that I'm delivering to my customers, right? Shape the experience that you want to deliver and work with your technology partners to deliver that experience, right? The experience I deliver to a $600 AOV customer might be vastly different than a customer that has a AOV of $9.99. It
Absolutely.
might be. It might not be. I don't know. But focus on the experience that you want to deliver, and stick with that. There's nothing there's nothing saying that it needs to be done this way, and you can't be afraid to try something new, right? For me at least, it's always thinking about what is the desired outcome and how do I work backwards from that desired outcome to build something to deliver on that desired outcome. And then go back and measure. Were we able to deliver on that desired outcome, and did it deliver the results that we expect? What we found, like what my mission was to always deliver a frictionless experience to our customers.
Mhm.
And at organizations that I've worked with, we've been able to, look at data showing of customers that have interacted with our support team and those that have not interacted with our support team. And on average, their LTV is about 20% higher for the customer that does engage with our brand. Right?
Wow.
If you think about that, then we got to think about different ways in which a customer can interact with our brand, because we know it's going to create a higher AOV or a higher AOV and a higher LTV.
Right.
Um, and so, like, think about what's important to your business. What are the foundational stakes that are important to your business? Build the foundation first, and then think about what are those additional elements that will help deliver the experience that you're trying to deliver.
I love that. If I were to sum up a little, Michael, and anything you had to add, how does one become a flipping legend? As you've spoken and you've shared about, what were you going to say something? Yeah.
No, no, like I said, I don't think that there's a one specific way to be a flippin' legend.
Yeah.
There's many people that Flip recognizes as a flippin' legend in our industry. And I can tell you without a doubt in my mind that every one of those individuals brings something unique to the table. Um, every one of us, have a different approach to building, but at the end of the day, we all are here focused on our customer
Yeah.
and delivering on that experience that we're trying to deliver on. And so, like, I would say stick to what's important to you, stick to the values, and the experience that you're trying to deliver for your brand. That's
Hmm.
how you become a flippin' legend.
Love that, Michael. Here's my takeaway, at least staying true to yourself, right? That
Absolutely.
staying true to yourself, helping the customer feel at home, taking care of the customer. And I really, really hear your Ace Hardware stories. These are foundational layers that you built. So staying true to yourself. And I love the word vision because it's two-sided here. You mentioned that AI beyond table stakes should fulfill a brand's vision or mission in that regard. So one, it goes beyond just blocking and tackling, to be truthful. There is a visionary aspect of that. How AI can be more human, provide more human touches, how AI can help obviously do more than to drive cost and efficiency gains, giving you support, more human-like. I love that. So fulfilling a brand's vision. But then second, the CX leader as the visionary. I love how you frame that, being the bridge with the customer, translating their needs, pushing and working with tech partners to achieve their needs, right? So I like the working backwards, systematically, not being afraid to try something new. So the vision is both creating the vision and ensuring that, hey, the bar is pretty high. We're here to help fulfill a vision so that that customer, when they call, the same way they say, hey, I'm calling for Michael, the same way they say, I'm calling my favorite brand, they can have that experience each time. And what is more amazing, what is more incredible in that? Even hearing that makes me feel excited to call and get into that conversation and experience some of that that you talked about. So
Yeah, that's
that's
exactly right. I can go on and on about different experiences, and each one I'm passionate about because they've helped shape me into,
yeah.
the person that I am today. And I'm just Michael. I've never seen myself as more than that. I'm just Michael. I'm just trying to deliver an experience that I think is right for our customers.
You are a flipping legend, staying true to yourself. And folks that are just fortunate, blessed, able to experience that what you've created. So good to chat, everyone. Hey, everyone, if you want to find out more about Michael, you want to meet him, engage with him, where do folks find you, Michael? Where do they?
You can find me on LinkedIn or CX Discord group. You can find me there. Got nothing to hide.
Sounds great. Michael, this is great to chat. Hey, everyone, check this out. Any questions, reach out. Again, Michael Ludwig, Hexclad, true flipping legend. So delighted to speak with you, Sean Lee from Flip, and we will see you around.
Thanks, Sean.